What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day, alongside my man D Gully. I'll probably lean to the left or to the wrong side,
It's
cause
all right.
yeah, my man D Gully. Here's what's happening. Today we got technique efficiency in the NBA. Why the college football playoff is a joke. Could y'all see me? Y'all can't see me. Am I blocking the camera? Good. Why the college football playoff is a joke and it should be expanded. And last but not least, my man Russell Westbrook, the triple double machine. We're gonna start things off with my man Russell Westbrook, or like as I like to say, Russell Westbrook, the triple double machine. But before we dive into this, let me say this first, or let me ask you this question:
Mhm.
Is the triple double as coveted an award in today's NBA as it once was?
It is not. It is still incredibly difficult to do, and it's still incredibly difficult to do repeatedly. But when we talk about how defense is played, one, not only the way it's played in terms of an X and O's perspective, but a willingness to play it all together, being not nearly as highly regarded as it was in yesteryear. It's not the same sort of effect. So it's not the same sort of impact on a season or on a player's dynamic. Um, and I say that really with all due respect, because it still remains hard to do. Like not everybody's still doing it in this way, and nobody uh, since nobody really, maybe since Oscar Robertson have been putting up numbers like this in this fashion, and is on their way to a triple double season.
We're going to talk about the Oscar Robertson thing because you found something, I believe,
That's
when we were
correct.
discussing this earlier, that may add a little bit more or solidify Oscar Robertson's position a little bit more when the comparison is made from most folk who didn't get to see them folk back in yesteryear, so to
Mhm.
speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
When the comparisons are being made, they might send him a little bit further than most of these cats. But I want to say this right quick. The triple double to me is not as coveted in today's game as it once was.
Okay.
Because like the cycle in baseball, what makes the triple double so alluring or such a monumental feat, if you would, is because of the rarity in which it happens.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Westbrook's triple double and his average in triple double after how many games in play so far this season? 20,
Yeah.
20 some odd games. It was about what 20 between 20 25 games into this 2016-17 NBA season. So I don't want to poo poo on it altogether,
Okay.
but you have to when you want to make the case for uh how great of or how magnificent or the magnitude of this accomplishment, you know what I mean, or these accomplishments, these triple doubles that he's getting, and even going back in the last season, when you want to make the case for that, you got to really break it down and you got to ask yourself, is it that he's getting these triple doubles with such frequency based on his ability alone,
Uh
or
huh.
is it in part because no defense or the lack thereof?
I would say the defensive uh, commitment, if you were the commitment, or as I call it, the give a damn about defense,
Yeah,
is
right.
is yeah,
Oh,
it's gone. It'll never be what it once was. Interestingly enough, defense defensive tenacity is the hallmark for every Finals MVP ever. Even when LeBron James won NBA Finals MVP back to back in 2012 and 2013 with the Heat, it was his defensive tenacity in moments that mattered most. So we'll keep on talking about offense and triple doubles, but defense will always and forever remain the
thing that matters
the
most.
yeah. But here's the question that I have to ask: while we're so heavily distracted in Russell Westbrook's ability to get triple doubles night in, night out, and comparing his offensive production with the other arguable MVP candidate in James Harden, which I got my thoughts on that. My question about Russell Westbrook's triple doubles: are they necessary for the Thunder? Because I don't think
That's a
no
good
one's
question.
asked that.
Well,
Are they necessary? Is Russell Westbrook and his triple doubles, are they necessary for the continuity of the team? Are they necessary for them to make a run at the playoffs? Or are they necessary for them to make a run at a championship?
well, see, that's my question. Well, not literally. That's the way you put it is I wouldn't have thought of it that way, which I
Okay.
think is interesting that you bring that up that way because you can have all the triple doubles in the world. But I ask you, and I don't know the exact number, but if you're averaging a triple double after 20, 25, 30 games or whatever the case may be, and in those games, however many games there are, you have just as many losses as you do wins, or more losses than you do wins, then it somewhat cancels itself out.
Right,
Not
right.
to mention, you getting them triple doubles, but what do you got to do to get them? You know what I mean? Are they forced, or do they come within the flow? Which we was talking about. We're talking about technique. A little later on, we're gonna discuss technique. Is
Right.
it that symmetry? Are they effortlessly? You know what I mean? Yes, he has the ability, but are they forced? And on
Right.
and on top of are they forced? You winning games 117 to 115. Now I don't know what all of the scores were and weren't back in Oscar Robertson's day or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But to average a triple double for an entire season, or get close to averaging a triple double for an entire season, you can't keep giving up 115 points.
Yeah.
You know,
What does that? Yeah.
and you know that people like, well, with triple double, you know, often, but you talking about rebound. You know, you had to you got to be taking more away from the other team in order to plentify yours more, which is what I
Right.
think lends itself to, you know what I'm saying, triple doubles and getting an average in a triple double.
Now I believe that the NBA played 78 games in Oscar Robertson's year that he averaged a triple double. They were they had 36 losses. They still were above 500, a few games above 500, but they had 36 losses. Now he averaged a triple double. So I say that because I think I see where you're going, but it's just it's a challenge and perhaps a caution that averaging a triple double, comparing his to Oscar Robertson, it's also, to be fair, Oscar Robertson's team wasn't a 50-win team, if you will. Or if they were a 50-win team, they were not far and away better. They didn't finish the season with like a 62-20, comparatively speaking, or a 57-25. You know, they perhaps could have ended up middle of the road with another losing streak, if you will.
I got you. And see, I mean, ultimately, what I'm trying to get across is the point I'm trying to make. It's one thing, and you know me, I love analogies, right? So here
Right.
goes an analogy. It's analogy time. We actually five
Analogy
minutes.
time.
Yeah, we 5 minutes too late.
Yeah.
It's almost like, and I hope this is a good one. If it's not, you know, poo poo the cuckoo. Um,
Poo
it's
poo the
all,
cuckoo.
yeah. Don't never mind. I got kids, man. Which what you want me to do? It's almost like pushing pulling a box or some sort of thing that requires you to use a pallet jack.
Yeah.
But in one instance, you're not using a pallet jack, and they say, "Man, he pushed that box or he pushed that thing all the way from one end of the room to the other."
Right.
Then on the flip side, man, he took that thing from one end of the room to the other, but you used a pallet jack. Does that make
Yeah.
any sense? You know what I'm saying? So you getting them, but are you getting them with the kind of ease? What kind of effort you got to work? You got to work 3 times as hard to get the triple double.
Well, you know what? I think your analogy is spot on in this regard. If you've seen a guy push a box 80 feet, that's an impressive feat of strength.
Right.
If he left the pallet jack sitting behind him to showcase that he could push the box 80 feet,
That's asinine.
he tired and he need to go on break after he pushed the box 80 feet to show everybody he could push a box 80 feet. Then you got to wonder, like, what is he trying to prove? And the question is for Westbrook to understand. It's probably for the dynamic of the Thunder, but that's my question. Because what I see, for me, my opinion, and I could be wrong, is that there is so much about the last 3 or 4 seasons that deal with him dealing with Kevin Durant, that not only is the shadow of Kevin Durant, while the presence of Kevin Durant is gone, the shadow still lingers.
Yeah, it looks like it. Cause yeah, man, I watched the dude, and again, I look at some of his stat lines. 30 some points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists, and I'm like, man, that's grandiose. Until I look a little deep, I peel back the top layer of that, and I'm like, man, but it took him 542 minutes worth of action to get it. You understand what I'm saying? Or you marvel at a guy, and we're gonna talk about Clay and Kawhi Leonard too in terms of this technique and efficiency and all of that type of
Right.
stuff. But you look at a guy, man, he dropped 40. What I'm really what I have a disdain for, let me say it that way, is for
Uh-huh.
people when we do these debates, when we do these sports discussions or whatever the case may be, people constantly want to make the case for a guy in particular, whether it's a Harden or whoever it is. Everybody got their favorites now. They want to make
Right.
a case of a guy. They want to make an entire case for a
Mhm.
guy based off one slice of pie. What the guy
Right.
do on the offensive end. You get what I'm trying to tell you? I'm not knocking these guys' ability and their athleticism and all that stuff or whatever it is, man. But guys offensively in today's NBA,
Mhm.
and we're gonna again, I'm gonna say this, probably say this portion of it again when we get discussing this other one, but they work too hard to get a basket.
Right. They showcase a lot of talents, a lot of dribbles, a lot of cuts, a lot of
Yeah.
slashes, a lot of fakes, hesitations, and a lot of things that will make you dizzy when you realize it's 2 of 74 points that they scored
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah, you did a lot. You did it. Now get the I, I just I am
You
of
did
the
a
mind.
lot of cooking
Yeah.
for
To
one bowl of chili,
yeah.
and
Or
a
better,
whole pot got to eat, right? A whole
yeah,
family got to eat.
gotta eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I just find it amazing, man, that these guys are lauded on the offensive end for what they do. And little to no mention is made from all these people having these discussions about who better than and this guy's better than, and little to no discussion is made or brought forth about a guy's defense or lack thereof. It's almost like not playing D is acceptable. Now here's this: Westbrook's ability and his athleticism and his tenacity is unquestioned.
Right.
But I just think, again, not to diminish or minimize his triple double, because it is something, it's eyebrow raising.
Yeah.
But when you getting them suckers and you just basically outlasting teams to get them, it takes a little bit away from it for me. You know what I mean? Because again, I think like the cycle in baseball, the triple double, when you get one, too many guys are getting them. You go to turn the TV on,
Mhm.
as soon as you hit the on button, you ain't even sat down to see yet, and you hear the guy on SportsCenter say, "Yes, 36 players in the NBA had triple doubles tonight." I'm like, "Dang, 52. I'm just had triple doubles yesterday." You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't go triple
Right.
double me to death. Y'all done took the I can't find the word for it right now, but you done
Allure.
the allure, right? You done took what it meant. You know what I'm saying? Something taken away from it, man. And we
I mean,
got guys getting triple doubles that don't even start. Okay, I'm being cynical, but you get what I'm saying? I'm talking about Zaza Pachulia. You know what I mean? Everybody but him done got one. You know what I'm saying? What
yeah.
he waiting? He need to be cut.
I mean, think about it. Like 11 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. That's some quality production, but that's technically a triple double. Them like them Jason Kidd triple doubles of the
Yeah,
'90s, right?
yeah.
That he used to get. I
He-
mean, again, I think to your point though, again, continuing to produce a triple double or the average of triple double in the season again is going to be a remarkable feat in the sense that it's not that easy that everybody's doing it all the time. I don't know how many straight triple doubles LeBron James ever had in the streak. I don't think he ever matched 6 straight.
Okay, so I see. Okay, so therein lies the wow factor and the
Right.
consecutiveness
Yeah.
of which they are occurring.
Because at this point now, again, I think it's interesting to find a win-loss record. But right now, Russell Westbrook is already, if he didn't already declare so in action, he's already declared it. I should say in word, he's declared it in deed. This is what he's going to try to do: be everywhere all the time, the entire time. So teams, if they want to beat the Thunder, they should probably plan for it. And I
Yeah.
think to stymie his,
When you say plan for it, break that down.
what I'm saying
Elaborate,
is,
rather.
what I'm saying is, it's kind of like you used to be able to do this, right? With a guy who's the MVP, team MVP, or the all team. You know what I mean? If he's on, just let him stay on and turn everybody else off, and you'll win.
Right.
I'm saying perhaps the way this is running, what happens if we turn him off?
Exactly.
What happens if we make it, if we increase his work rate so much that he's going to have to exhaust his efforts? Like, what happens if we let him punch himself out in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe 4, 5, and 6 he's still getting in, but 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 he ain't there no more? Teams are going to start to, I think teams will start to plan for it and attack it that way. And then we'll see what happens. But because certainly he's already declared, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is me. This is what I'm going to do to make my case for an MVP and to make my case for leading this team to an NBA title.
So 2 questions.
Yeah.
1, can you win a title that way? And if you suit them up at that level, isn't that what your ultimate goal is? Or isn't that, if you have a list of goals as an NBA player, the first thing on the list is to win an NBA title? Then the second one might be individual accolades or whatever or not. Now, hold on, my second one. Which team do you think can game plan for that, let him shoot himself out within 3 games, and that team wins the 4th game in a 4-game or 7-game series? Do that make sense?
Yeah. Let me ask you your first question. You know what? I can't answer it. You know why? Because because something is on my mind that I can't get off my mind. We are all talking about Russell Westbrook's triple-double quest. No one has them in the NBA Finals conversation. Nobody has them.
That's like an oxymoron.
Nobody
to the
has
morons. Them. Yes.
Right. Nobody has them. Nobody realistically thinks that Russell Westbrook can beat himself, can beat his hated team, the Thunder. They darn sure don't think they can beat, they probably think they can beat the Spurs. And
I'm gonna tell you right now, hold on. Anybody to think that they just that's asinine to the second power.
What I'm saying, I think the public probably thinks that they could beat the Spurs this way with this Russell Westbrook-led team in this fashion. And they probably think, I don't know that too many people think they can beat. It depends on which former Clippers team you get. But the idea of it is, if you think Russell Westbrook the triple-double machine, I'd like to know the pundits who are celebrating this, who are really, really salivating over it, really think it's remarkable. If they really think that this team has a chance of winning the NBA Finals, I know for certain, much as we may deride that team, I know they will not beat the Cleveland Cavs like this. I know they can't beat if that's one team, I know for certain that they don't have enough extra seasoning to do it. They can't beat the Cavs team with that guy scoring a triple-double. Because you know what's going to happen?
Yeah, the same thing that happened to Jordan. And I'm not saying Russell is Jordan, but I'm saying systematically or X's and O's wise, when they played the Celtics, when Jordan dropped 63.
Right.
They're going to let Westbrook get his triple-double, his forced triple-double is what I like. That's what they look like to me.
Right.
And he's going to probably have 117 points, by himself. And Steven Adams and everybody else on the team going to have negative 117 points. And they're going to win 2 or 3 games. And then then the announcer's going to be like, yeah, well, maybe Kevin Durant should come back next year. And then there's going to be a talk about the following season. Because ultimately what it speaks to is this. Yes, the triple-doubles are in this form, they are eyebrow raising, but they are
Yeah.
coming to the detriment of everybody else. I believe, like you said earlier, if he gonna do this and be who he is or whatever the case may be, and he said I'm coming to the, why don't you get everybody else that's with you in that same mindset? Now you make yourself more dangerous, or you make the Thunder more dangerous to everybody going forward.
Because I tell you what, 27, 7, and 7 is what made LeBron James the quote unquote best player in the NBA. It's nowhere near a triple double, but as hard as LeBron James works for 27, 7, and 7, Russell Westbrook is working extra harder for this triple double.
To a triple double, yeah.
And the results, I don't know. The results remain to be seen.
Well, I'll say this. At the end of the day, man, I like the dude.
Yeah.
I can't stop saying I like the dude. You know, he the type of cat, he gonna bring the energy. You already know. He not gonna be a liability out there. You know, if you're out there with him, you know, he coming with it. I just would like to see him get other people involved and play more so without the ball. I think you are more of a threat with a player of his caliber without the ball than you are more than you are with the ball, so to speak. When you start the game off, and it's just my estimation. I'm not saying I'm no NBA player or no former this, but I played against guys who played at a higher level than me.
Okay.
And there is a formula for not only having success, but continued success. You get what I'm saying? It's not like a microwave, the microwave dinner, the potatoes you put in there. They're going to taste good maybe the first time you take them out, but try to reheat them.
Yeah.
Unlike grandma's mashed potatoes, you understand what I'm saying? The ones made from scratch, the ones that had to be groceries bought for them to be made.
Yeah.
You know, you can reheat them suckers 2 weeks later and they still going to taste good. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I would like to see this dude get, and I don't know the entire roster because they didn't have some shakeup. Deion Waiters is gone. Ibaka, we know, is gone. Of course, Kevin Durant is gone. But with his ability, you get Adams involved from the onset throughout. So in the fourth quarter, because now let's get every pass and every play and everything, every execution is critical to every game from beginning to end. But let's face it, there are more critical moments, or the moments are more critical the latter part towards the game you get, or later on in the game.
Of course.
So
right.
The dribble drive right, kick out left that you did in the first quarter, which is what you should do on the way to getting one of your triple double numbers, assists for your triple doubles is good. But if you don't do that same setup or do what you did in that same setup in that next scenario or in the second quarter, you understand, underneath the same scenario, if you would, guys disengage.
Right.
So now in the fourth quarter, when it's 115 to 113, you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Right.
And you do that dribble drive right and you kick out. The dude is talking to his girlfriend in the stands.
He
Almost
ain't
like,
ready.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not, didn't J.R. Smith just do that a couple games ago with the Cavs?
He went
against Milwaukee. Yeah, he was talking. He was like, "Look, man, I want a hot dog with 2 chips." You know what I'm saying? Man, get me. I said I don't want no Pepsi. Keep playing here. I'm gonna go get Bron. You know what I'm saying? And the Milwaukee player went right down the baseline and got it done. Matter of fact, the Milwaukee player almost missed the shot, man. And he looked back at J.R. Smith like, "Dang, dog, are you with it?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's 5 against 4. I hear what you're doing. So people marvel at Westbrook's triple doubles, but but the eye test is the best test to me, not the statistics. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I'm watching play, he'll get an assist, but it's after so many times he done went so hard, he got boxed in, then he forcibly finds somebody in the corner and they knock the shot down. You get what I'm saying? Most people don't look at they see the manifest side of things, but not the latent. You got to look underneath all of this, man. Stop going off with the top. Stop going off the top and say, "Ooh wee, I got a whole cheesecake." No, you don't. That's just a Philadelphia cream cheese box. You know what I'm saying? Come on back here with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think, while I think that it will definitely, if he continues to, it will definitely be something to, that will be discussed as it's ongoing. and something that will go in the record books. You know, and it was definitely a stat. You
Right.
know, a stat of that.
Right.
But for the most part, I don't think in this case, and I'd have to go back and check for Big O. The year he averaged a triple double. Did Milwaukee win the title that year?
I don't think
We
so.
have to look that up.
They
I
only
should have
won
looked that up.
one title.
Yeah, I know they only won one, but I wasn't sure if it was the year he won.
No. Milwaukee didn't. He didn't average a triple double when they won the title. He was still with Cincinnati when he did the triple double.
Oh, when he did the triple double.
Yeah.
Okay, it was with the Royals. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I just think that while I'm watching them, and I haven't watched every game so far this season, but I've watched enough. I've had enough of sampling size. I watch this dude, and I don't see them even getting out of the first round with all these triple doubles, man. It's just I just don't see it, and I don't think the West is as strong nowadays as it once was either. And when I say strong, I ain't saying strong defensively, because the West is, ain't never really been ain't been really no defensive stalwarts in the West, even for years back. But I'm just saying, I don't see it. I see them. And that's just really sad. Because the West is not as strong. I just don't see them getting out. I don't see them. They'll win their first round game, but I don't see them getting past the first round, man. For all them triple doubles, what did it get you?
Right.
You
it got you that. Yeah, it got you that bronze trophy, but you trying to get a ring.
That's what I mean. That's what I thought. The rings got diamonds in them. And before we go to something else, tell me this caveat or this stat. Maybe this unknown or little known stat you found out about Oscar Robertson.
Well, so Oscar Robertson, he averaged that triple double. He's lauded I think he's the only player to average a triple double for the season. But what's amazing about Oscar Robertson is that on a couple of occasions, he came close to repeating it. In 61-62, that's when at 30 points, 30.8 points, 11.4 assists, and 12 rebounds, he averaged a triple-double. However, the next year, 28 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 9.5 assists. The year after that, 31 points, 11 assists, and 9.9 rebounds. Just ahead. So that means perhaps maybe 50 more rebounds over the course of the season.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't like. When we hear this discussion about triple doubles.
I'm sorry. And then the next season after that, 30.4 points, 11.5 assists, and 9 rebounds. So he was on fire the whole time.
See,
like for 4 years.
So again, when this player comparison in the Today BA always comes up, why don't we hear about those things? See, I'm not a Sports Center junkie, not nowhere near as much as I used to be, but I watch it occasionally or from time to time, just so I can get a bead on or get a feel for what's going on. I like to get the gist of things, you know what I mean? Just kind of stay in the loop now. I used to watch it, with a bowl of cereal, sit down like, ooh-wee, I ain't going nowhere till tomorrow type stuff. But now I just sit down, catch the few headlines, and I'm out.
Yeah.
But when they having all these discussions, and you hear words like integrity and doing it right and da-da-da-da-da, why we don't hear stuff like that? Why do we have to go find that? You understand what I'm saying? That should have been found for us. You know what I mean? In the brief moments that we checking Sports Center out and Lindsey Zarniak and all of them folks in there to be spitting. Yo, my gosh, Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green with the WWF kick to the chin. Oh my God, split him up. I'm just saying, man, it's so comical that all these folks who have these discussions, or when you hear these discussions being had, they so stand-up-ish, they at the same time selective and objective at the same time. You know what I mean? It just make no sense. If I'm going to have a debate or discussion with you about a guy doing whatever he's doing, regardless of the sport now, and I'm going to reference a guy then, you can best believe I'm going to have enough evidence to support whatever it is I'm trying to say, that even if I'm not for or against or whatever, I can leave it with you and you can't deny it.
Right. Right.
Why are we not hearing about the Oscar Robertson for, if I heard you correctly, for almost 3 seasons?
Man, yeah. Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Almost 3 seasons. Like, he came into the league. His first year in the league, he was 30.5 5 points,
See,
9.7 assists, and 10 rebounds. That was
see, that's
campaign number one.
right. See what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I don't understand it, man. You know, again, I'm not trying to look down on my man Westbrook. You know, he doing his thing, man. He doing his thing. But my thing is, if I'm gonna be out there, you can best believe I'm trying to get to the mountaintop.
Right.
I ain't trying to pad nothing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm trying to break your face, which is what he do. But I'm trying to break your face with all my boys.
Right.
You understand what I'm
We
saying?
trying to
Yeah,
break your
we
face.
trying to break your face, man.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this thing gonna play out. All right, man. Moving on. Let's talk about this college football playoff.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the BS. I mean the BC. What they call it? Yeah,
The college football playoff. I think it's
yeah.
just
College
CFP.
college football bulls
Yeah.
off. Penn State should have got in.
Why should Penn State have got in?
They beat Ohio State. Or let me clarify. Penn
Uh-huh.
State should have got in over Ohio State. Let me say it that way.
Okay.
They beat them head to head,
Okay.
and they won, which I thought the NCAA College Football Committee said
Mhm.
was a criterion.
Mhm.
They won the Big Ten Conference Championship.
It
And
was not. It was not a criteria. It was not an absolute criteria. It was a consideration.
hold on, no. You gotta help. No, hold on. You gotta. No way.
I'm a quote. I'm a quote from the selection
Please do.
protocol. When circumstances at the margins indicate that teams are comparable, then the following criteria must be considered: championships won, strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, comparative outcomes of common opponents without incenting the margin of victory. So, here's what happens. If understanding that rule,
Some bull.
Penn State got the championship won. Ohio State got strength of schedule. Penn State won head-to-head competition. Ohio State won comparative outcomes of common opponents. Ultimately, Ohio State was just ranked number 2. That's why they won it. This is where I never thought that it would be so soon that I would actually miss the BCS. I
Yeah,
never thought it.
I never thought I'd
Because
miss the BS either. Because it's still
because
the same. Well,
no
actually,
no
it's
no no
worse.
no no that's what I'm saying. See, because he in the BCS, you knew it was salt in the game in the beginning. I feel like under the BCS criteria, when Ohio State lost in the manner that they did to Penn State at the time, it would have made them suffer more, and they wouldn't have so easily got back to number 2 when was it Clemson and Washington end up losing? Who was it that the week that everybody lost?
I think that was
That
yeah. I
2,
think
3,
it
and
was
4
yeah,
lost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Clemson,
because
Washington
Michigan was a part of that
was
too.
part of
With
that too. Yeah.
Michigan and yeah. So I think that the road to get back to number 2 would have been much, much harder for Ohio State under the BCS. Therefore, they wouldn't have so easily gave them back the ranking. The problem is that the college football playoff ran into is you said Ohio State was the best team in the country. When they lost, rightfully so you dropped them in the ranking. But for whatever reason, in your rankings, in your systems, you so graciously gave them that spot right back. And you can't justify again having recovered from the loss by winning out. You can't justify again taking them out of there. And so that disenfranchised Penn State most specifically. Because, first of all, Penn State, by virtue of beating Ohio State, became the division leader. By virtue of beating Ohio State, became the division leader, beating Ohio State, and then surpassing Michigan, who they lost to, but surpassing Michigan in the standings. You put Penn State in a situation where they played more games on the regular season to determine them not going to the college football playoff than Ohio State, who, by virtue of losing to Penn State, played less games to secure their number 2 ranking.
So ultimately, let's call it what it is. What's the adage or the proverbial a spade a spade?
Yeah,
Ohio State travels well, and it's about that dollar bill, y'all,
right.
and the
Because another,
politics
you
that
know,
go
another
along
thing
with
that I
it.
did never understood, the ranking before the conference championship, the week of the conference championships. So before those games were played, after the after Ohio State and Michigan, the rankings were Alabama 1, Ohio State 2,
Right.
Clemson 3, Washington 4,
Was it? I
and Michigan was 5th.
I
Now
thought they were
check this out.
sixth.
No,
Okay,
Michigan
go
was
ahead.
5th.
Okay.
Wisconsin and Penn State were ranked below Michigan.
What?
When you knew that Michigan had no more games to play and Wisconsin and Penn State were in the Big Ten championship game, why did you waste that week ranking Michigan 5th, knowing that it was impossible for them to pass the winner of the Big Ten championship? Salt in the game. Because had you ranked them
But do you
5th,
think they did that thinking that Michigan would beat Ohio State?
no. This was after this was the poll after the game. So this was
Oh,
after
okay.
Michigan
Okay,
had
okay.
played Ohio State. It was
Got you.
this like
Okay.
right, because Michigan and Ohio State season was over with. So after that, Michigan ended up 5th in front of or ahead of the teams, the winner of the matchup that was going to jump them anyway. So it was like, oh, we're gonna move the carrot back. And then when they jump, like, oh man, you was just a little bit too far out.
Yeah.
And we can't and no, because they knew they were in trouble because they didn't want to see two Big Ten teams in this college football playoff. More importantly, they so graciously gave Ohio State back the number 2 ranking when Ohio State probably should have had a harder road to recover. Now, I'm not now when
Well,
I
hold on.
read
Let me
the
say this.
go ahead.
I was watching Mike and Mike the other day, and they were of course
Yeah.
having a discussion too. Um, they were saying something about the 2 losses.
Okay.
That's ultimately, you know what I mean. You know what they tried to, not them per se, Mike and Mike. You know what I mean. But it was discussion. They were discussing the whole
Yeah.
football playoff thing. And in the discussion, let me say it that way. In the discussion came up this thing. Well, you know, part of why Ohio State gotten in was they only had the 1 loss, whereas Penn State had 2 losses or something like that. And then, of
Okay.
course, the beat down by Michigan, I believe,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. To me, it's just a lot of political bull.
Didn't the Michigan
fodder.
beat down? Didn't the Michigan beat down happen the week before they beat Ohio State?
Yes, I believe so. But I'm saying to you, at the end of the day, let's not say that it was a 2-loss team and, you know, kind of throw that in there as to why Penn State didn't get in either, or one of the reasons, or one of the multitude of reasons why Penn State didn't get in and Ohio State did. You know what I mean? That's what they were trying to say. Well, they tend to know, because if I'm not mistaken, LSU had 2 losses the year
Yeah.
that they beat Alabama in the national championship. They won the national championship. The year they won the national championship, they had 2 losses.
With Nick Saban?
Yeah, I believe it was with Nick Saban.
Okay.
No, no, I believe it was with Nick.
Yeah, the only other
No.
wait a minute. You talking about when LSU beat Ohio State then?
Okay, don't. I can't remember which one it was. Not off the top of my head, but I know one of them years they won the national championship. They had 2 losses. So my point is, don't be talking about that 2-loss stuff. And then on top of that, or in addition, the folk wanted to say, well, Ohio State was the best team.
No,
yeah, but Penn State was more deserving.
When you complete a total of 25 passes for 200 yards over 2 weeks, if it takes you 2 weeks to complete 25 passes and pass for 200 yards in 2 weeks, as did JT Barrett to end the season, you can't be the best team.
That's my point exactly. How are you the best team without telling me how are they the best team?
If by way of psyche, you got a team, you were able to grind yourself to a halt but make a team on the other side of your opposing team play worse than that, then maybe you might be the best team, or you'd be the best magicians ever. I don't know
Yeah,
what it
right.
is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes,
But
sir.
understand that my criticism is that I want to make sure I'm very clear. I firmly trust that JT Barrett is capable of better. But a performance like that cannot make me proud or excited or make me root for Ohio State team getting into a college football playoff, knowing there's other teams that would not do that. There's no other team that can pass that paltry or that terribly and be considered a best team in the nation. But why does Ohio State get a pass? It shouldn't.
Yeah. Because of the doggone pesos. That's why they get a pass, the pesos. But see, that's my thing, man. Sports used to be non-insulting to my intelligence. Or maybe I was
Understood.
just too young to understand it all then. Maybe my mind wasn't as developed then as it is now. Of course it wasn't, but even still I had wherewithal. You know what I
Right.
mean? And if they were, people always say, well, none of this stuff is left completely up to chance. Okay, maybe it's not. So it's always been cheating to some degree. But at least they did a better job of it, so to speak. Now it's like it's just flat out insult to your intelligence.
Right,
That's what I'm
right, right.
saying. It's like, hey, you go by what we show you. Okay, you don't believe your own eyes.
Right.
I'm like, got you. Okay, so the pile of boo boo on the ground with the powdered sugar on it is a funnel cake.
Right.
Despite the flies taking off and landing like at Hopkins, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
said, man, come on, man. Penn State should have been in it, man. Even if you was going to leave Washington out. Now, again, I don't go because to me, once you start opening up all the particulars, well, this guy's, his shoe wasn't tied, so he could have went to number 3, and then he went to number 4 because he had his 2 left shoes on. So, so therefore they jumped him because they lost to Valdosta State, and then Valdosta State beat Tri-C Umverant, and then Mount Union somehow came in the back door and they punched Boston College in the stomach, and then next thing I know, North Carolina was down on the ground. Down goes the pressure.
Did you see that? Did you see that beam, that chart? That this is how it worked out.
Yeah, the beams I see, trust me,
No,
they high in the
it
sky.
had.
Sorry,
I believe it had Alabama at one end of the chart.
you talking about when they did it? I think they put all of this into a BCS equation too, and it kind of shook out the same too. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
Okay.
no. This is something different.
Okay.
It put like Alabama in this chart, and like every team that Alabama beat, and in the by means of 6 degrees of separation or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you will, the teams that Alabama beat and subsequent losses, they broke it down to with every team that I think like Western Michigan beat, and saying since Alabama beat this team, who beat this team, who beat this team, who beat this team, and this team also lost to Western Michigan, Western Michigan is as good as Alabama.
Yeah, no,
That's
yeah, that's bad. That's some bad backwards. You're just trying to make a case, and you really, the more you do so, getting pie in the face.
you've got a right to do it, but understand
It's got
that
to
it's
be
going to be
substantial. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Make a case based on something worthy of a case being made on. Don't just make one because, I like that team, so I think they're going to be the best team in the league for 10 years. But the running back is playing quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
right.
Man, base it on something. Honestly, man, they should expand it. They should expand this. If nothing else says, they need to expand the playoffs. Just like, and gosh, I had a lot of senior moments. I had all this stuff together before we got together this evening. But for whatever reason, they done took flight or got on the train and then, on the midnight train to Georgia. But if I'm not mistaken, there was some sort of chaos surrounding this last BCS run before something triggered this college football 14 playoff now.
Oh,
something sort of like of this nature, and it wasn't a good thing.
No, I think it was when you mentioned 2 losses. I'd like to say it was the Alabama LSU title game. Alabama having met LSU earlier in the season. I believe those 2 teams ended up in the BCS for the national title, and it was kind of like locked out because they kept saying this is in the best conference, and teams that had enough, because I think in that same near or around that same BCS season, if you will, you saw the rise of Big Ten teams actually getting bona fide wins versus other Power Five conferences.
Right, right,
Pac-10
right,
teams,
right.
doing the same. And I think that's ultimately where they said that it's kind of locked to the SEC, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, because I I just wish, and I know it's not going to happen, but I just
Mhm.
wish those people who are behind these things that we view, or when it can come time for our viewership of these things, just give us the straight up, man. Just tell us what it is, man. Because if you look at it, whether it's a college football playoff or BS or BCS or some straight bull s,
Right.
it's always been some sort of somebody that shouldn't be left out is going to be out, and
Right.
somebody that shouldn't be in is going to be all the way in. The
Right.
year
Right.
Auburn went undefeated, and we're talking SEC now. Now, it wasn't
Yeah.
no 14 playoff, but again, this is the Big Daddy. You know what I mean? The BCS was in play at the time. Auburn went
This was
undefeated.
this was the team led by Jason Campbell.
Jason Campbell, they went
Yeah.
undefeated SEC,
Yeah.
huh? And didn't
Hmm.
get in. So at the end of the day, man, it's all to me the folk who holding the cards and who they like. I don't want to
Right.
hear this yarn about they've been sitting in the room almost till midnight. Like I hear some lady on there talking about, yeah, well, the college football committee, they've been here for a long hour. As if I'm supposed to say, wow, man, they really trying hard to get this thing right. Man, that's some bull. Along
Nah,
with the rest of the
they trying to get their story straight.
yeah, not only that, you know what I'm saying? They wait on them last minute yellow envelopes, you know what I'm saying, with the extra cash in
Yeah.
them too, you know what I mean? Because it's no way in the world you're gonna tell me. See, I don't have no predispositions and no favoritisms and all that old kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Let Auburn that year that went undefeated been Ohio State.
Right.
Tell me they don't
Ain't
get in.
ain't no way they don't play for a national
Let
title.
Auburn be Oklahoma that year. Tell
Right.
me they don't get in.
Wait a minute. I think Oklahoma was the team that ended up going, right?
I'm not, yeah, most likely. I'm picking the granddaddies of them all. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Quote
Yeah.
unquote. You get what I'm talking about? The good old
Right.
boy network. That's what it
Right.
boiled down to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But look, man, just tell me the straight up. Say, look here, man. Ohio State bring in $72 billion a year. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Penn State, in spite of or in the recent events, not as recent, but recent enough events that happened, we think they should take another hiatus, work their way back up a little bit more. Okay, man, just give it to me straight, man. No chases.
Where's Clemson located at?
South Carolina.
How convenient that the number 2 and number 3 team play in the Fiesta Bowl, which has been a
Ohio
home away
State
from
is a
home.
home for Ohio State. Yeah, I
And
know.
they the third ranked team, right? They're
Yeah,
ranked third in the
yeah.
playoff.
Yeah. So again, the BCS committee or the college football committee, because to me it ain't no different. You know what I mean? I still
No.
see red flags. I'm talking about challenge flags, the ones like Jeff Fisher couldn't find the other day when he was looking for his. I see red challenge flags all day, every day, man. From again, I don't get to dive into it like the Adam Schefters and them folks in the Kirk Herb streets or whatever it is. I'm not gonna have 72 TVs up, you know what I mean, and 45 computers open I'm not going that far with it. Because you don't need
Okay.
to go that far to see bull, is what I'm
Right.
trying to tell you.
Right.
Don't try to spin me, or better yet, for all of the ESPNs and all them folks out there and for the shows we still watch, barely, or
Mhm.
barely rather.
Yeah.
At least when you putting together you're doing your show, when you putting these things together before you go on the air, man, have some consideration for the guy who understands that 1+1 = 2.
Right.
Okay, just what I'm saying. Can you factor me in? Say, man, it might be one guy out there. We're gonna add a little bit more truth. Please do that, man. But don't try to sell it to me, man, because there's no way in the world that Penn State shouldn't be in, regardless of all of the variables.
Yeah, I can't justify it.
Thank you. And
I
neither can
can't.
they. You know what I mean? And that's what they was in there till midnight for, trying to figure out a way how we going. Man, that's my story. I'm sticking to it, John.
And I think that's why they kept. I think that's why Michigan fell to 5 instead of below um the Big Ten conference champion contenders. to
Well,
make sure that didn't happen, because it doesn't make no sense. I mean, you absolutely knew that the winner of that game, when re-ranked, was going to be ahead of Michigan. And if
yeah,
they were fifth,
yeah.
if Penn State or Wisconsin were fifth ahead of Michigan, then there's no way that they would have remained at fifth, winning that conference championship with strength of schedule. But if they're five, yeah, placeholder, man. It was all nasty.
Well, I say, as a result, there will be an 8-team expansion. And I don't understand why they can't do it right now. Anyway, they should have did it when they went from the BS to the more BS, because they do it in the FCS.
But the FCS don't have an Orange Bowl, don't have a Sugar Bowl, don't have a Cotton Bowl, don't have marketing and sponsorships and committees and millions upon millions of dollars already invested in television sponsorships, ad sponsorships, licensing, press kits, all of that money. It's hard to be able to say, nah, you know what? In the fairness of the sport, we're going to take away this billions of dollars we have given to you all these time. No, it ain't happening.
Oh, I get it. So again, it's based on that OJ song.
Because they made it that way. Why was there ever a tournament style in the? See, my thing is, in order to keep it fair, because it doesn't make no sense. The FBS and FCS should have played the same structure.
Why is it?
There should have been a.
Why is BS in all of it?
That's what it is.
It's BS in all of it. The FCS BS and the BSSS and the BF. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
But go ahead, say that again. You said the FBS.
They should have played. They should have required the bowl structure. The NCAA should have. Well, I don't know how that works, but FBS and FCS schools should have been under a bowl structure.
And you know what does I don't even know, even still, what does FCS? What does it stand for? What's the acronym for?
Richmond Spiders. Okay, Duquesne.
Right, okay.
That's all I can tell you.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know
what
those schools are very special schools. I guess I think they're in the FCS. I could be wrong. Let's take a look here. Let's see, what is the FCS?
Yeah, because I mean, it could be full cat box series. I don't know.
Right. Awesome. I have no idea.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's Division III. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I found it more interesting years ago prior to Carson Wentz coming out of North Dakota State. I had to start watching the FCS championship playoff rounds, because I believe it's 16 teams for them. Or it might be 8, but I just know it's more than 4.
Yeah.
I started watching them when the guy I thought the Browns should have taken prior to Wentz, Brock Jensen, was the quarterback. Gotcha. That's when I started watching North Dakota State, and I can't remember who they were playing. Might have been a team for I can't think of the name of them, because the uniforms were kind of like threw me off. The color coordination of uniforms. I knew who the team was when I seen the uniform. I was like, ooh, wow, that's kind of ugly, fugly, and maybe all right at the same, all working together at the same time. So the name of the team escapes me. But Terrence West, former Browns running back, now Raven running back, used to play for this other team.
He suits up for them. I just the Ravens in the running game. Okay, to your point.
Yeah, he plays for the Ravens now, or whatever.
Yeah.
But he played for this team that was going against North Dakota State when Brock Jensen was the quarterback. And I just watched the Bisons. I think they played Terrence West.
Did he go to Towson?
Towson is what it was.
Yeah, Towson.
And I believe that year North Dakota State played Towson either in the round before the championship or in the championship. But I had already started watching. That's how I can tell you about the Terrence West thing. But I'd already started watching North Dakota State a couple games before they got to Terrence West's squad. And I'm like, man, these dudes, because I think I don't know, seeing something go across the screen talking about these guys, that almost like a Mount Union type, for this thing. And these guys been doing one such and such, such and such. And I'm saying, man, who was the Bison? So I start watching. I'm like, man, this is some good football or whatever. But you got to be a traditionalist, sort of a purist, or only the traditionalists and purists would enjoy watching the FCS games. Whereas the FBS games, they still, that Penn State, Wisconsin was pretty good, and I think who was Penn State playing in the bowl, in the Rose Bowl? USC? I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I think that's going to be that's one I do want to see. But it's more the you remember the movie Barbershop,
Yeah.
of course, but the barbers I don't say it's of course because there's been about 30 of them, or it seemed like it. They was all good, but the one where the guy was building the commercial barbershop across the way or whatever, it had all the
Yeah.
bells and whistles, but it
Right.
didn't have that grandma's cooking. It didn't have that home feeling. You know what I
Right.
mean? It had all it, and that's what this bowl college football playoff and the stuff that's surrounding it feels like to me. You know what I mean? You
Okay.
look the part and you grandiose and all of that, but you on the inside, man, you ain't about.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Whereas the FCS and the North Dakota and the Mount Unions, them the cats, man, is really playing for what playing for supposed to mean, man. You know what I mean? I ain't talking
Right.
about you shouldn't get a couple of dollars along the way. Make your money, man. I get it. You know what I mean? But you done turned it. It ain't even about business no more with the FB with the college. It's bad business, is what it is.
Yeah. It's not, and it's very very hard to turn back. It's very very hard to
No, it
turn
ain't.
back.
If you're going the wrong way, what you do? You turn around.
Mm-mm.
Why is it so hard to turn back?
When you have a truckload, all right, you drove trucks. You go the wrong direction. You can't just simply whip that thing around. You need to find a proper exit. You need to make sure that you got the right truck height because it's a lot of
Okay.
tunnels you created for yourself.
I got
You
you.
can't just, you might just have to just go see this thing to the end.
Yeah, especially if you're driving doubles.
Yeah.
You got the park where you can go out. You can't ain't no backing up when you got double trailers. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, I'll just say, man, you know, it's going to be expanded. Now, I say 8 teams. What say
So
you?
so I like the idea that I seen whereby you do 6 teams. The number 1 team or number 1 and number 2, or you do 5 teams. No, you do 5 teams.
Okay.
Number 1 gets a bye, and you just like, and I believe
So in
they
this case,
always
it would
play
have
the
been
lowest seed.
Alabama. Right, Alabama would have got the bye.
Yeah, Alabama would have got a bye. Ohio State meets Penn State, and 3 and 4 meet each other. The
Interesting.
lowest seed continues to meet the highest seed. So if 3 have, well, not in that scenario, you have 2, 3, 4, and 5 play each other. So if 3 and 5 end up winning, Alabama meets 5, Alabama meets Ohio State, or Alabama meets Penn State, and going forward, and then you do it that way.
Now,
You bring 5 teams into it.
now you talk about an amicable solution of sorts. But
Right.
here's what really irks me, man, more so than anything else. Every other sport has some sort of tournament
Yeah.
before this 14 thing. Even in basketball, the NCAA has a bracket. They have a tournament. So for the longest, and even now, they seem to, when it comes to college football, all of a sudden, everybody done got dumb. Well, that's good. We can't do that right now. I'm like, man, come on, man. How y'all manage to figure out for every other sport? I'm talking about lacrosse, on water, polo, backyard football, backyard baseball. They can figure out for everything else
Because
but college football.
the
It's big
money's
money,
in the
man.
way.
Yeah.
And here's the
Yeah.
thing. Here's the thing.
You saying
They
nobody
have
gonna give
to,
up the
no,
money they
because
used to buy fuel for the yacht? Ain't nobody giving that back, huh?
because here's the other thing about it is they got to find a different way to be able to say that it ain't about the money, because if they say it's about the money, then you bring in the inevitable supplementary argument. Well, how much money are y'all making that we
You
not getting
can't pay
paid
after.
on?
Oh yeah.
So you got to make it
They're
about,
trying not to open up the worms cans.
they change. They're like, oh well, you travel so much. It's such a different game, and these kids got to study, and they've got to get degrees, and they've got to
Yeah.
have time to get home to their
Yeah.
families because it's over the holiday season. And no, it's
Yeah.
in
So
the
it'd be-
pros. What they're gonna do? They're gonna be playing on Christmas on Sundays anyway. But guess what? They don't mind doing it because they're getting paid for it.
So again, that's what it boils down to.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately,
Oh
all
yeah.
of the yarn ain't got nothing to do with the fact that y'all trying to keep more in your pockets.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our last and final topic of the evening. You and I talk ad nauseum about the NBA today,
Right.
and as I so aptly named the Today BA,
Right.
because of course, and when I call it the Today BA, let me say in a cynical way. Yes, I still watch, but we used that word earlier when we were talking about allure.
Yeah.
It's not as alluring as it once was, because I think that the technique, and in particular on offense, the efficiency in which offenses flow, it's absent in the NBA.
Right.
I think when it's discussed, the NBA, 9 times out of 10, you're hearing people talk about a guy's athleticism as if that somehow is better than the technique and efficiency.
That eclipses everything. His athleticism.
Yeah, his talent. He's very talented. But since when did being efficient become a bad thing when it comes to professional basketball?
When has being efficient ever been a bad thing for anything?
That's my point. So,
Yeah.
a guy in the barbershop said to me a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
he said, man, I'm old school too, man. I understand you're old school, man. I appreciate that level of game. He said, man, but the game is different now. It done evolved. I said, listen, man, first of all, it's not enough to say that the game is evolved and leave that right there. When you say to me that the game is evolved, and I'm hoping that every NBA fan would want to know, give me some details. You can't just say the game is evolved and leave it right there, even though he is right to some degree. But you can't say that without asking what has it evolved into. Because if we
Right.
look at the definition of the word evolve, and I'm just going to give you the layman's definition out here, people,
Okay.
to go basically from simple to complex.
Okay.
Has this NBA done that? Went from simple to complex? No. James Harden then virtually told y'all on a commercial he ain't playing no D. I ain't
Yeah.
stopping nobody. I'm all about stirring it up, getting buckets. How's that complex? Better yet, or even more, when you say simple to complex, let me give you this. On the night the Lakers and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke the scoring record, all-time scoring record, I think they were playing the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
I don't know what the points are. Don't know how many both teams scored. I know they were in the triple digits. Yes, they were. But I'll say this. There were 2 3-pointers taken in that game, both by the Lakers.
Yeah.
Okay? Both by the Lakers. And they missed both of them. 2 3-pointers. Fast forward to today's NBA. Any game that you watching in, and y'all said it, any game that you watching in, because it's supposed to be
Yeah.
watching to act like they sit right there next to the TV, you know what I'm saying? They throwing cups at the TV and everything. But you sit
Right.
down and watch any game in the Today BA, and you can pick a team, a player, or anything, and you look at the 3-point attempts combined from both teams, combined.
Astronomical.
And I'm talking about teams barely getting triple digits with it. It might be 105 to 109.
Yeah.
And the combined 3-point attempts be in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And then you want to talk about, and then people want to make the argument, man, this dude better than that dude, and that dude is better than this dude, and that dude is better than this dude. How? And they only play on one end of the floor. Until your level of defense, until your defense rises to the level of your offense, stop
Right.
telling me this guy can do this and popping your collar about what this guy can do and what that guy can't do. Because at some point you're gonna have to stop somebody. That's what winning it all, if that's what you're in it for, is predicated on stopping somebody at some point. More so,
LeBron James's block of Andre Iguodala sealed the deal. As sweet as that shot was that Kyrie Irving hit to bring them ahead, it was that block and that tenaciousness on the defensive end that won that title. The year before that, you can say what you
you
will
don't think
about.
it was monumental? You really think that was the catalyst, so to speak?
Listen, they were up by what they went up by 3 with the shot, right?
Yes.
The
You asking a guy that got senior moments.
Yeah, I'm
Man, while we
saying.
sitting here recording, I accidentally put my shoes. I put on two left shoes, man. Really? I'm amazed that I'm even
Listen,
going this long. But go ahead.
I'm
I mean,
saying
I
that.
appreciate you asking me, but
Yeah, right. I'm saying that it's defensive stops always. It's defensive stops that win titles. It's making the disrupting the guy's offense. It's when you make Steph Curry miss. Understand Kevin Love and what he did. You know what? There's no better picture painted about the today BA than that final possession when Steph Curry found himself in isolation and he was
it
checked
was
by
Kevin
Kevin Love.
Love. Yeah, it was Kevin Love. Yeah.
Steph Curry admitted as much in the post game. I tried so hard to force the three when really all I really needed to do was just go around him. That tells you everything because all these guys they stop for that three and they play outside in that regard. They set up instead of going around the guy. He admitted it. Kevin Love, all he did was give a damn and stayed and tried to stay in front, but he was not nearly as agile or fleet of foot or fleet of
No,
foot
as a Steph Curry, no,
as Steph Curry. And
no.
Steph Curry refused to go around to get us to settle on a three.
That is the today BA in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, that captures it. That captures it right there. All the talent in the world, the ability and the means, but not the will.
So, you know me. I'll
Okay.
tell you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't care how fantastic the three ball has become. And I'm not saying that it's not a necessary part of the game. But when
Right.
that's all that you rely on, or if that's where 90% of your meal is coming from,
Right.
you cannot act in awe or really be so seriously dejected when the end result ain't what you expected to be because of the way that you were playing.
Right.
Like you look at, I say inside out. That's my
Yeah.
caveat. You can take the three ball, but go inside first and shoot the three and set the three up strategically.
When you lose by 10, and you can literally count, 9 possessions where you passed up a 2 for a 3.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes me again scratch my head and wonder how, when we having discussions and debates with other people, they really try to make a case for a guy being so fantastically fantabulous. Because I asked you before, to some degree, for the most part, now, I do have a favorite player. But long ago, do I have not, or should I say no longer, do I have favorite teams as I did long ago? Because it's been whittled down so much to me that it's hard to watch now. I mean, I still love basketball in its purest form, so I still
Okay.
watch it to some degree, but I'm not breaking my neck to get in front of the TV no more. You know what I mean?
No.
So
If
Kawhi
it's
Leonard,
on, I watch it. Yeah.
yeah, Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player.
Right.
And he's my favorite player because he greets you on the defensive end of the floor. I say, for the most part, if we're really sitting back watching the game and the game ain't watching us, you will see, even if it's your favorite team, that most offensive players today or in the today BA are overrated offensively because they are allowed to go wherever they want to go. Now, some people say, well, the rules for defense, you can't hand check. Okay, but ain't nowhere in these new modern day rules that the NBA done put forth say that you can't move your feet still.
I have not seen a rule that says defensive players are not allowed to make an effort.
Exactly. And that's what the excuse is trying to be.
They still award
The
defensive player of the year to
to
somebody.
somebody. Yes, exactly. That's my point. I just think that, I mean, and again, this is separate from, people talking about, man, he made $30 million. He only worth that money. When it comes to guy money, get it. Because the guy who giving it to him is getting 100 times more. So get
Tristan
it.
Thompson, hey, listen, he played his hand masterfully.
Yes, he did.
And I'll say, you know
Yes,
what?
he did.
Yeah, I'd say that. Hey, he played his hand masterfully. Now, Anderson Varejao was probably pissed about it, but he
Yeah,
played his
ain't that
hand
something?
masterfully. And like you say, you don't fault that. A guy getting his money, but the idea of it is the fact that it's a heated discussion is because ultimately we know we're paying for an incomplete player.
Well, wait a minute. When you
We're
say
playing
we,
for
you saying
guys to
man?
do. Listen, Tristan Thompson got $84 million because he grabbed rebounds that preserved the Cavs from being totally embarrassed in the 2015 finals.
Well, wait a minute now. See, uh, okay, that's literally, yeah, that's literally, that's what, but you can't, I don't really want to go down that road because a guy, he got to get paid according to the market.
Okay,
You see what
right.
I'm saying? If the
84.
market says
Listen,
that,
listen. Dennis Rodman willingly did less, but that's
well,
only
that's
because he
fair.
was.
You're right.
But right. But you didn't pay guys. We didn't pay guys for these. We didn't listen. We didn't have in the 90s. To my estimation, we didn't have so many specialists, so many one skill
Yes.
set players.
Yeah. So many Adam Morrisons. Oh, where's
Right.
he
We've
at, by the
got
way? Jimmy
we've
Fredette.
got yeah, these three guys can shoot threes. These three guys can penetrate. These three guys, nah, the guard was the guard and the forward was the forward, and then they did it all. Okay. Drazen Petrovic, Sarunas Marshalanis, all right. Sharif
Yeah.
Abdul Rahim.
Tim
You know what I
Hardaway.
mean? Tim Hardaway. They were
Anthony
all
Hardaway.
there was no like listen, think about it like this. Why do we have such a name for two-way players in an NBA where this is a game where the like soccer, like hockey,
Yep.
you play both sides of the ball. Now, the only exception being baseball because you hit it one time and you
And you
feel it
feel it
another
another
time. So a
time.
two-way
Right.
player in that
Exactly.
regard makes sense. In football, you play defense or you play offense. So a two-way player makes it. In basketball, you're supposed to stop that guy from scoring. So I shouldn't be considered a two-way. Like the fact that Kawhi Leonard is considered a two-way player, it's shit that's indicative enough of the fact that the game is different and the game has devolved rather than
Exactly.
evolved. It is
Yes.
simplified because you got guys doing simple tasks. Like I said, I give Tristan Thompson a lot of respect for getting $84 million, but he has a very simple task. He is not relied on to get a double double every night.
So again, so that's what I want. I was trying to get this young man in the shop to understand, or I mean, and I respect his opinion wholeheartedly because he do be coming strong as you're
Yeah,
supposed to when you're in a barbershop.
right,
But I was trying to get him to understand before we can say what is, we have to understand what it is we're saying and getting ready to say what is.
right,
Or you understand me? If I'm getting ready to say this is that, let me first put this in this context, and then I can tell you what that is.
right.
So I can't just say, "Oh man, fat meat is greasy," or I can't, just repeating something else I heard. You know what I mean? God work in mysterious ways. Well, if you believe in Him and you know He ain't no mystery, then how can His way be mysterious? You understand what I'm
Right,
saying? We can't just say things to be saying them because they sound this way or they sound that way. When you tell me it is evolved, which is what I was trying to get him to understand, in essence, you need to add the DE on the front of that there because it has devolved. It is
right,
not complex.
right.
Guys not doing it on both ends. And you hit the nail on the head. Two-way player, what is that? That's not even a term that should be
Yeah,
that don't fit basketball. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Also, well, here's what we're gonna start doing now. When the offense brings the ball up the court, we're gonna get across half court. We're gonna stop, call a timeout, then let the defense. Then you got to, you know what I'm saying? It's
right,
gonna be it's
right,
interchange. No, we go back and forth. Whoever's on the court playing offense got to play on the defense too. But defense has become so passe.
yeah.
So man, I ain't doing that. You know what I mean? And the
I'll get him next
guys,
time.
yeah, and the guys that are being mentioned in these discussions are being graded on the criterion as if though they play defense.
Yeah,
They get a
like
check mark.
it's ridiculous that James Harden is an MVP candidate.
Ridiculous.
As great as an offensive player he is. Like when you are allergic to
Ridiculous ain't
playing
even a
defense,
word.
you are allergic to stopping your man. How can you ever be considered a most valuable player?
Player.
Because there are
Thank you.
guys that won't get the ball that are responsible for getting defensive stops that get wins to make you look good.
That's what I say, man. We have lowered our standards so much so to the point where they are now the standards, as if though they always was. Always was the standard.
Right. Right.
How in the world can you look at any of these teams? If you look at the league right now, out of 30 teams, realistically, it's 5, maybe 6 who have a legit shot at winning the title. That's bad for business, man. What is it that draws people into this new? Because I'm going to tell you, I done watched a couple games, and I done seen some empty seats. A lot of empty seats, man.
Yeah, because it's just the same thing over and over again. You don't see everybody involved. You watch like it's
So is there? Let me ask you this question: Is there
Mhm.
true parity in the NBA?
parity in the regards that it's the same 3 teams that have a possibility on the Eastern Conference. It's the same 2 to 3 teams with a possibility on the West. It's 3 teams on each conference that are legitimate title contenders. That's the parity.
Or who are they? Right quick, in your opinion.
Well, you name them. All right, in the East, there's one real team. That's the Cavs. The team that could surprise some people is Toronto, but I doubt it.
No, I do too.
And the other team that should be able to surprise people but won't is Chicago. They have enough seasoning that they should be able to get things together during playoff time to make some noise. Aside from that, it looks
Yeah.
like Cleveland is going to go back to the finals by default. They have no legitimate competition in the West. There's no way San Antonio won't reach a conference final if they, assuming that they don't meet the Clippers or the Thunder first, which I would say, I'm sorry, the Clippers or the Warriors. I don't see how San Antonio don't make it back as a number 2 seed in the West
Well, I
to
don't
the
see how
conference
they.
finals.
Yeah, I don't see how. Now again, barring injury, you
Yeah.
know, we got to see how that part plays out or how that plays into it all. But I don't see the Spurs and the Cavs not being in the finals, even despite the Warriors' addition of Kevin Durant and all of that. Because I'm looking at it
Uh-huh.
from a basketball standpoint, not a
Yeah.
fandom. Not I used to say all the time. Some people go to a basketball game because they really want to see the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to see passing and cutting and decision and precise and concise, which is what I still want to see. And
Yeah.
it's a rarity nowadays.
Right.
And then other people go to the game because of this event or
Yeah.
it's an event. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So from a basketball standpoint, I'm going to tell you why I think it won't be the Warriors. And we'll dive
Okay.
more into this and go into detail in the next time we get together. The middle is still weak. Everybody wants to talk about the Draymond Green, LeBron drama sold, Young and the Restless sold, and I get it. It was conversation fodder, if you would. But
Okay.
what hurt the Warriors to me more so than Draymond Green's absence was Andrew Bogut. Simply you went from having a rim protector, quote unquote. I don't like that term either, but I get it. It's applicable
Uh-huh.
to Draymond Green, who was 6'9", the junkyard dog who could do everything, but he didn't have enough derriere, so to speak, to do what Bogut could do in the middle.
He is not as tenacious as like a Ben Wallace was as a rim protector.
No, Bogut is not either. But Bogut
No,
was
no. No, I'm saying so in the absence of Andrew Bogut, if this was like a '04 Pistons and let's say we're dealing with Ben Wallace has in Draymond Green's place. If Ben Wallace was there, that type of tenacious, stalwart rim protector or defender, being undersized at 6'9" in terms of height, I think you still would have been okay.
Right.
Because there's enough scoring to go around.
I'm glad you brought Ben Wallace. Let me re-say it.
Okay.
Using Ben Wallace. If you're a guard and you turn the corner to get into the paint for one of these, $1 million layups these guys are shooting, and Draymond Green is the guy to step up, he's not an immovable object.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? To some degree, Bogut was. you had to
Yeah.
readjust your shot if he stepped to you, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless he was
Right.
in foul trouble on the bench. And again, Ben Wallace was too. At
Yeah.
undersized, Ben Wallace was more of an immovable object than Shaq at times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Imagine you're a guard, you're on the left side of the floor, and you do one of Kyrie's numbers, 76 dribbles with the left hand, and then
Yeah.
cross back 34 dribbles, and then cross back with the left hand again for 10 more, and then cross back to the right hand for 77 more. Now you're going to go into the paint.
Right.
And you got Ben Wallace, and you see Ben Wallace stepping to you. Just picture the dude's hair, man, was like a garden gnome. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was, and he had that headband on, man, and them armbands on, man, and he was built like an action figure. Something the kids asked for. I don't celebrate Christmas, but something, something that come off the shelf at Toys R Us, man.
Yeah.
And you see that dude, you come around the corner, man, you're gonna think 4 times, not twice, but you're gonna think 2 times too. You know what? Let me go and give it to somebody else where they can do something.
I'm a dish out. Yeah.
But with Draymond Green in there, you're gonna turn the corner and you hesitate. Oh, it's just Draymond Green. You know what I'm saying? All I gotta do is make sure when I go up with the right hand, I come down with the left hand for the kick that's coming up with the kick block. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I'm gonna finish it.
Need that kung fu action.
Yeah, I need that. Wax on, and I'm gonna wax you off when we get off this court. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
Because and speaking of that, man, Draymond, man, he getting a little bit out his hookup, man, with his, his flailing kicks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He gonna mess around and see, and I say that too. We talk about the Warriors right quick. I'm starting to. I liked them more during their title run, and not because they beat the Cavs or nothing like that. It's just the way, me. It's always about your style of play. That says more to me than statistics and the box scores and all of that. You know what I mean? They had, along with their style of play on the winning their title, they had a humility about them.
Yeah.
Once they won it, as the year went on, man, I'm not so sure 73-0 was good for them.
Yeah.
Because they started smelling themselves.
Right.
And then there was still there were a few more comments, snides, about the Cavs when they met again or whatever it is. And I thought, you could I just could see it in their body language, man, the post-game pressers or whatever, that, there was a haughtiness to them.
Mm-hmm.
And accept be gracious. How does it go? Be gracious and not defeat. You don't know how the saying goes, or something about when you win, be this, and when you lose, you know what I mean? It's that sort of that be humble thing. Even if you win, it's okay to celebrate, but you don't have to smash it in nobody's face, man, or taunt nobody with it. And that's what it seemed like they were starting to do during that finals last year with the Cavs. And I told my son, I said, man, the Cavs gonna win this thing. I said, because when they were down 3-1, if you pay close attention to how the finals was being played, the Cavs were down 3-1 because they were doing what they had been doing all year, out shooting folks at the 3-point line, primarily. Right. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And then with a fantastic move here, two or there. When Bogut went out, and I don't know at what point it was, I think that helped. But when the Cavs, at the same time, or in conjunction with the Cavs deciding, you know what, we're going to go in the middle. We're going to beat y'all up in the middle like we started out doing the year before. We're going to beat y'all up in the middle, and we're going to stay beating y'all up in the middle. And again, I think when they decided they was going to start beating them up in the middle, and then they, wasn't no Bogut there, it just all snowballed from there for the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? And again, throwing the fact that Draymond Green, he got kicked out for being kicked, for kicking.
Right.
And things of that nature. But there's something about that team, man. On the inside, they got Durant, and they got a nice perimeter package.
Right.
But the interior is bland. It's the cupboards are bare. And I think that will catch up with them. You can get away with what they're doing now for 82 games. You know what I mean? But once you hit them playoffs and them rounds start getting a little steep or steeper and steeper as you go along, trust me, it's going to catch up with you. Especially if they run into this. That's why I say the Spurs. They run into Gasol and LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
They're going to get exposed in that middle.
I fully anticipate the Spurs to be better shape, better mentally. Strangely enough, without Tim Duncan's presence, on the team in suiting up in a jersey than last year. I mean, think about it. In their case, they won 66 games. That was a franchise record. And to lose like they did to the Thunder was very underwhelming, even by their standards, very underwhelming. Well, by many standards too. You figure you win the 66 games and you out in the second round, and you didn't lose to, and you lost to a team that at the time was not expected to get where they got. It was underwhelming. I think they've gotten a more complete team.
Who are you talking
They're
about?
only going to get better as the season goes on.
No.
And to your point, I think that they will. It'll be interesting to see about the Warriors. I still say that the Warriors, with some more meekness and humbleness, like as you say, they are a very dangerous team, even though they shoot outside in. The one thing that I said is, and I maintain this, Kevin Durant, his importance to that roster is that he roams the area of the court that Clay and Stephen Curry don't roam. He's a mid-range guy. Now, you need inside, short range. You need that inside out, but he's in the area between the foul line and the black marks where the three-point line is. As long as he's there, he's comfortable playing where he is and getting points and what have you, come playoff time, you're still going to have to account for that. And I think that that's something that could be insurmountable even for a team as deep as the Spurs in a 7-game series.
That's fair. That's fair, but I don't think it'll be, and I'm not a fan of, I'm not saying this as a fan of, but I don't think it'll be insurmountable for the Cavs. Simply because Durant, Curry, Clay, they are dynamic players. They are. However, so is a Kyrie and a LeBron. You get what I'm saying? So how do you stop that dynamic? When you're dynamic, they can be dynamic. You need somebody in and around that paint that's putting up a roadblock,
right,
or a sobriety checkpoint.
Yeah, I got
you know what I'm saying. You see them blue lights, you turning off before you get there. You get what I'm saying? And the Warriors don't have that. They don't have that. You can get away with their style of play throughout the regular season. It was the same thing I told you last year. What did I say to you? I said early on, I said the Cleveland Cavaliers have a championship style roster or championship type roster. But their style of play is not conducive to winning a title. And if you looked at the way they was playing, they ran through the East because ain't nothing in the East. You understand what I'm talking about? They ran through the first round because them same teams in the East was in the East of the first round or whatever the case may be. You get what I'm trying to tell you? But when they ran into the team who initially could match them blow for blow on that one side, they was down 3-1. Because everything was on the outside. A lot of this, I mean, again, you look at it, man. I can't tell you how many times I've seen teams, and I have to just change the channel, man. To I don't know what I think that was the kids cooking channel I was watching. I just couldn't watch it no more. The offenses start outside and they stay out there, man. Bad shot selection has become a thing. It's a norm now in the NBA. Offensively, you understand what I mean? And then on the defensive side, swinging gate that's not even applicable no more. I don't know what this is. Man, I seen two dudes running side by side. You know what I mean? There's no way in the world, if you're a defender, at no point in basketball, on any level, if you're a defender and the guy in front of you is an offensive player and you see the name on the front of his jersey, ain't no way in the world in an instant or lickety split should you be turning around watching the back of the I should not see your name on the back of your jersey.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just too easy, man. But then we were talking about, man, he be averaging 30s and 30s. How about stopping the dude on the other side from getting his average?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How about stopping that guy, holding that guy to 20 who
and then we can have a meaningful conversation. You get what I'm talking about? But he scored 40 but gave up 41. What'd he do? Stirred the pot. You know what I'm trying to tell you, man? I'm telling you, man, somebody in the Rockets organization should tell James Harden, because that's really it's disgusting to watch. I don't even watch the Rockets, not even if it's the only game on. I'm not watching the Rockets at all. It's disgusting. Somebody in the Rockets organization should tell this dude, man, the next time you just you just stand in the half court and let a guy run right by you. I mean, the guy was on the other end of the court and James was at the half court and the dude just ran right past him. We cutting your beard. we cutting your beard, man, because the fans. And if you ain't got to be the Rockets organization, if I'm a Rockets fan sitting there, I'm saying, hey James, I'm telling you right now, blow a defensive assignment again on purpose again here. We going out to the parking lot I'm gonna snatch you by that chin. I'm cutting it all off in one whop, man. You know what I'm saying? And you can get for every defensive stop you get a strand back. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You get to glue it back.
Yeah,
Right.
you get to glue it back,
Absolutely.
man. You know, but I just say that the tech overall, man, the technique, you know, athleticism is lauded and technique is not applauded. You know, the
Right.
skill in which it takes to go from one end of the floor to the other used to be, as they would say, what's the quickest way to advance the ball? Passing. Not now.
Right.
It's 47 dribbles.
Right.
Then with 6 seconds on the shot clock, you two shoot a fallback three with your arm bent like a swan's neck and falling over the lady in the first row, knocking her popcorn over. And guess what? You swaggy peeing it. You missing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This is what the game then boiled down to. It's only a handful of cats, man, who use less effort and score more. Like I said to you, and we're gonna get out of here on this last one. Kawhi Leonard dropped 31
Okay.
against the Timberwolves a couple
Yeah.
nights ago. Klay Thompson dropped 60. All the talk was about Klay Thompson 60 because 60 in by itself, it's a big number.
Right.
And they wanted to say 29 minutes. He did it. He was 21 to 33 in 29 minutes and didn't play the fourth. And I'm supposed to say, yay. Well, let me tell you something about statistics. They're lies, then they're darn lies, and then they're statistics. Now, I'm not saying numbers have no place at all. But let's say I'm watching the game with your favorite player. You at work and you can't see the game. You call me, hey, man, how's such and such doing? I'm playing in a fantasy league because that's really what I think sports in general has become. It's more about fantasy than it is actuality. You say, man, I say, man, it's the third quarter, man. He's shooting 100% from the free throw line. Your reaction is going to be the one of jubilation, so to speak. Like, oh, shoot, I know I'm about to win tonight. But I say, but dude, if I tell you, but he only 3 for 3. That's going to bring you down a couple notches. You get what I'm trying to tell you?
Right.
We look at 60, and 60 is a big number, 21 of 33. But when I say put them numbers in the efficiency washer, whose outcome or whose production was more efficient? If I had to win a game 7 in the finals, looking at Klay's 60 on 21 to 33, not having played the fourth quarter, again, most people tell you like, man, that's beyond. Versus Kawhi's 31 on 11 to 15, I'm taking Kawhi. Because to me, 15 shot attempts and you get 30-something odd points, that means you were doing more things in other areas than one guy who was shooting 21 to 33 and hit the 60. And here's the killer part. Most of them was jump shots. Don't sit here and marvel at them 60. Where was they at when you was down 3-1?
Right.
Shots or shooters, they get hot and cold. Guys who understand how to utilize or get open without the ball or utilize other spots on the floor or get closest to the rim, high percentage shots. The guys in today's game who still understand that are the guys who are most successful more often.
And they create, and they have a better chance of creating under any scenario for themselves and for others, which is what a team sport is supposed to be about.
So, on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening to the Shop Report. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or email the Shop Report at 365gmail.com. And if that don't work, Google it. For my man D Gully on Barbershop J. And remember, the next time y'all want to know something or know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.